Thomas, you let me know when you're good? You're good? Okay. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second Board of Education meeting of the summer, our last one before we begin the new school year. With that said, our administration has been hard at work working on developing protocols for the start of our school year. When we ended the 2020-2021 school year, we were hoping that we would not be facing the continued pandemic, but of course with the Delta variant we have new concerns, and our administration has been responsive to those concerns and has spent many days and hours during the summer readying for the start of the school year. And Dr. D'Elia will give an overview of what those protocols are going to be recommended to the Board of Education. Dr. D'Elia?
Good evening. I'm off to a great start. Here we go. Good evening. Here we go. Okay, good. Good all here. I probably don't need this anyway, but it sounds better. All right, welcome everybody. We've been hard at work all summer. I know when we looked at June, probably the early part of June, we were looking at something different that September may be. But with the variant out there, we've had to kind of shift a little bit, but I'm going to tell you right now that I am super, super excited about what the school year has in store for our young adults and young people in this district. If you think back to last September, you know, we were talking hybrid. You know, we were having different bus routes, different days. We've come a long way, and we are super, like I said, super excited about what our students will have in front of them come September 1st, which is a week and a half from now. Regarding masks, we are expecting our new governor, who takes over in about 5 hours, tomorrow, from what I've read online and from what she's stated, that there will be an announcement tomorrow regarding masks. And everybody that I've been speaking with from the state, from other superintendents, it looks like it's going to be a mandate at some point tomorrow is what we're hearing. So I want to preface that because you won't see in my presentation here slides regarding masks, because we believe that mandate will be coming tomorrow from the governor. I can't say 100% guaranteed, but from what I've read from her quotes is that it looks like that's the direction she's going to go. And she's made specific comments and quotes directly related to mask wearing. Thomas, can you go to slide 1? Okay, as I stated before, we are planning for all of our students basically to come back next Wednesday. We've been working hard, the buildings are ready, and you know, all of the guidance that we've been receiving from the state, from CDC, a word they use in there is maximize. Try to maximize in-person student learning. So that's been ringing in our heads as far as the team here getting ready for next week. Students will be following a traditional schedule. Now, the traditional schedules really never changed at the primary or intermediate schools, but they did change for the high school last year, where they had some office hours towards the end of the day. So we are shifting back to, my recommendation is to shift back to regular school hours, K to 12, starting Wednesday. I hope many of you received the new calendar. It's a full calendar, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about next week. We get hopefully all of our students back, and we have a full slate of activities, events, from September to June. You know, we will have full sports. That is taking place. They just started today, our fall sports, actually. So we don't have any restrictions, and you know, we're hoping for full seasons. We have, I remember last year we had the desk shields. Suffolk County Department of Health has basically deemed those to be really not super effective in the fight of spread of COVID. But we went through them for a year, and this was last May, what the Department of Health had indicated. So we did remove them for the summer, and my recommendation is to not bring them back for the fall. Because when we were calling up, when Dr. Senamore was reaching out to the Department of Health regarding quarantine, mentioning a shield did not have an impact on who was quarantined, who was not going to be quarantined. So they really didn't have a tremendous amount of impact. We are going to have 3 feet of social distancing. That allows for a full in-person return. So that was key in order for us to have all our students back. Last year, we didn't have that in September. It was more 6 feet that we had to, and that would not allow. That's why we ended up with, hybrid options. But all the guidance we've received is recommending 3 feet of distance. Hallways lockers will be open. The gym lockers were not at this point, only because in the gym lockers at the secondary level, they're shared a lot with kids in their clothes, so we want to try to avoid that. Also, riding the bus, still that has never left us. We will have 2 students per seat, and they will be expected to wear their masks while they're on the bus. That has been happening throughout the summer. We never change anything about mask riding on the bus. Western Suffolk BOCES is offering a regional virtual program. Basically, the 18 school districts within Western Suffolk BOCES are having a virtual model through BOCES. And basically, this is for our most medically compromised students where it would be difficult for them to attend in person. We probably have a number of these students on our radar already, but obviously life happens throughout the summer, and we don't know. I'm sorry.
Hold on one sec, Dr. Delia. Is there an issue?
We need to advance the slide.
I'm sorry.
We're good.
We're good.
You know how to-
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so what we're looking to do is through that virtual program is to offer it to our students that have a significant medical need. Now, there's a process to that. There's consultation with our physician, with the student's physician, to see the impact of in-person, how that may not be possible for the individual that's dealing with a medical condition. Okay, when a student is quarantined this year, what will happen is that student will have the option, well, we'll highly recommend it, that they engage in live stream learning that's going to be available K to 12. So if we have a number of students from a class, one student, the infected student, may be the only one, that's what it's potentially looking like for the most part, they will have access to 8 to 10 days of virtual learning with their teacher. So if I have Mrs. Jones as my 5th grade teacher, and I, as a student, test positive, I will be live streaming Mrs. Jones for those 8 days. She will provide the instruction for those students. So it's not, because what other districts are doing, what I'm hearing, is they're kind of hiring other people to do, other new teachers to do the remote learning. And I just feel my recommendation is that I would want my child to stay with Mrs. Jones, because Mrs. Jones knows my child. So that is what we're, and I thank Mr. Callahan, Mr. Campbell for working together with us on this, and we think it's a great model to keep our kids engaged with, and thank you. What we did last year, what a lot of districts do not have, we purchased commercial grade air cleaners for every classroom. What basically are inside each commercial air scrubber, we have 3 filters. And I became very proficient last year in my role as the business official with MERV ratings. Inside that air cleaner, you have a MERV 9, a MERV 13, and a MERV 16 within that one unit. We thought it was a great idea to buy them last year, and we think it's a great idea to keep them going this year. So we're very excited about having them. Another piece we looked at, we decided to lease large tents to expand our cafeteria footprint. Last year, we had students quite often, especially at the elementary level, eating lunch within the classroom, and they didn't have many opportunities to get out. And that was riding in my head. We need to get these students out and about. We want to get them outside, too. So what we're doing is we're expanding the cafeteria footprint by, we're going to try and sit them 6 feet apart inside, but outside, we're going to take some of those students that are originally going to be inside, and we're going to have them eat outside, and we'll rotate it, so then now it's a larger setting for eating. Because obviously, you're eating, mask will be down. So we want to give them opportunities to get out of the classroom. We love them in the classroom. We love having all of them back. But now we also want to give them the opportunity that they can go to the cafeteria. They can go outside. And even inside the cafeteria, I'm going to go back to the prior bullet that I just spoke about, we'll have air cleaners within the large rooms as well. So that's something that we're very excited about. And if you've driven by any of the schools, I think, Dr. Senator, most of them are up right now?
They're all up and one more building to go.
Okay, and that building will be ready by September 1st. So, I mean, I know the principals were excited about this. They want their students up and about, moving, and, you know, that was something that I, you know, give Dr. Senamore and the business office and the facilities department, they got right on it this summer to secure those tents, because they're not always super easy to secure. Also, we are not doing health screenings and temperature checks. I don't believe many districts are doing them moving forward. They really didn't serve to be very effective at all. So that's something that, you know, we've learned over time, because when I spoke earlier about looking at last September, there was a lot we didn't know. And yes, we know more. Do we know everything? I don't think so. But we definitely do know more than what we did last September. So I am recommending that not have the screeners, because the temperature checks as well, they did take some time for all the students to check in. I think we definitely went into a good flow throughout the school year, but I thought it was, it did take away a little bit of time, and I don't think that's something that I'm recommending to the board based on their lack of effectiveness last year. So basically, these are my suggestions to the board and my recommendations to move forward. And you know, I'm going to say it again. We're definitely in a different place from last year. We have a lot of people working hard. The administration all summer at the building level, getting ready, and we're excited for our students pulling up to us on September 1st. And I can tell you, it's an unbelievable staff we have here, you know, from the teachers, the custodians, teaching assistants, everyone putting their foot forward to make sure our young people in this community get the best possible experience they can have this year. I have young children myself, and they kind of guide me as to how I want to see our children go as far as giving them those opportunities. And when that calendar, I knew it was filled, but actually seeing it and seeing all those events that are in there, we're going to do it in a safe way. But makes me feel really excited and really happy about what South Huntington here is doing as far as keeping our kids safe and healthy and giving them a great experience. And that's one thing I'm proud to say up here that we're looking forward to next Wednesday. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. D'Elia. I'll open up to the Board of Education now for any comments, thoughts on the reopening plan. I understand we have a good crowd tonight, which we appreciate. These issues are important, and it's always good to see feedback here. If you're interested in making, oh wow, it was nice without it. We will allow you to speak if you're interested in addressing the Board of Education. You must be a resident. You're limited to 3 minutes. So if you are interested in speaking, McLean will come around and just will raise your hand if you want to speak, and she'll take your information down. What's that? Oh, they have numbers. Oh, okay, that's what I was saying. Okay, good. Board thoughts on the reopening presented by Dr. D'Elia?
We're waiting for further guidance tomorrow. And that, you know, that's an important piece. Appreciate the work you've done. This is a, you know, these are challenges, and I'm looking forward to hear what the guidance is from Albany.
Any other thoughts, comments? Good, okay. We'll open it up to any residents. Ms. McLean, do you have number one?
Number one. I do.
Who's that? Okay,
Jacqueline Whitner.
okay. And can you please, when you step to the podium, if you can please give me your name and address?
Where was this list passed on? When was this taken? I went to you specifically to say I want to speak.
We're going to let everybody speak tonight. There won't be, nobody's going to be cut off. If you want to speak, please, Ms. Ferrante, please go see Ms. Ferrante, and she'll sign you up. We'll be here as long as necessary. Go ahead, ma'am. Please speak loud and give me your name and address.
Sure. My name is Jacqueline Wedner. I reside at 2465 New York Avenue. So first of all, I want to thank South Huntington. My son Jaden just graduated from the high school, and my daughter Maya will be attending the high school this September. I have always been proud of this district in the care and love that it has shown both of my children. I have never had any issues. So I'm very happy to see the plan that you have. My only question is, the Delta variant is stronger than the previous COVID variant. And some of the things that you are releasing, like the temperature checks and the screens on the desks, aren't those decisions being made too soon?
Dr. Lillian?
Regarding, we're not trying to pick anything from up in the air. We're trying to look at some guidance, and basically Suffolk County Department of Health did not say, they're medical people, and they're saying that they were not effective last year as far as the screens go. And we didn't think the attestations were super effective either. And we understand, and I'm a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. I know, the temperature piece, it was more prevalent with COVID. The original, and the Delta variant, the temperature piece, from my understanding, from what I'm reading, is not as significant as a symptom. And I'm not saying it's not a symptom, it just seems like the temperature was lower than regular COVID.
Well, that's something I would like you to reconsider, simply because we don't know so much about this virus.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number two?
Hello, my name is Natalie Bensel. I live at 27 Poe Place. I have 3 children in the
Is
district.
that Co-Place?
Poe Place,
Okay.
yes. My twins, Tessa and Luca, are coming to high school. And my youngest, Nolan, who will be a 4th grader. And just like Jacqueline had stated, that I'm very proud to be a part of South Huntington. I commend all of the teachers, the staff, the principals, everyone. I think my children thrived. They were so successful this past year, in spite of everything. And I feel that you've kept our children safe with the masks, with the screens, the temperature checks, everything. My children were safe. They were protected. I had no problem. Nobody needed to be quarantined or kept at home or anything like that, which I couldn't believe. But my greatest concern is, I know we have to wait for tomorrow, and I do believe masks need to stay in the schools. And I believe in the science. And when you look at what's happening in Florida and Alabama and Georgia, and us here as parents in New York, it's quite frightening. And I would hate for that to become us. So having heard other school boards' decisions on, masks, maybe not masks, or I would really hope and pray that South Huntington would keep the good measures that you had last year, because I feel it was so successful. And again, just looking at what we are seeing in other parts of our country and what could happen to us, I think that should be a big eye-opener. And if I had to make that decision, there's no way I'd want to do what they're doing, and I just hope to keep the masks, That's all I have to say.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Number 3?
Hi, good evening, and thank you all for everything you've done so far. I am not a newcomer, and many newcomers will always tell us that they are very surprised that such a large district and a huge community has such a hometown feel. And I think that's largely in part due to how the school community kind of blends with the outer community and how much we do together. I've been in this district with children, my children, for 24 years straight. All the way, 3 more years to go. I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to volunteer here, to be in the schools, be in the classrooms. As a matter of fact, we lived in 2 homes, which was every school in the district. So I know pretty much every school, everybody who's been in the school here, I know you, and I thank you. South Huntington has always been very cautious and responsible. I feel that we've always acted in a cautious and responsible manner, and I think that is why our community has been able to come together and work through times of crisis, and fortunate that we do have a great community and we all help each other raise our children, educate our children, and participate with the greater community. I would like to hope that we will look at the guidance provided by the New York State Department of Education released in August. I didn't hear much of that tonight, but I guess most of the school districts are waiting to be mandated for a lot of the things to work on budget allocations and other things you have to consider in order to meet the mandates. I know that a lot of people, this is a very divisive issue with the masks, but not only did we see less quarantining than many of our neighboring districts because of the way that we handled it, and I believe the face shields, although they may not be broadly accepted or do anything spectacular, I think they did help us keep the numbers down. And I am a little disappointed to see that we're not going to be doing some of the screening. As you said, Dr. D'Elia, it did wind up to be a more streamlined process. I know it was a little chaotic at the beginning, but even identifying just a few students by temperature could potentially save the infection of many, as we know.
Thank you. 3 minutes is up. So
Okay,
thank you.
all right. Well, it went a lot faster when I timed myself at home. But I do want to thank you for everything, and I do want to please ask you to seriously consider the guidance that was put out by the New York State Department of Education, Betty Rosa and group. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 4? Mr. Callahan?
Dennis Callahan, President of the South Huntington Teachers Association. I thought that I was underdressed when I saw the news here, but I don't have to worry anymore. I just want to be on the record. This won't come as any surprise because you've included me in these discussions, but I fully support this reopening plan. I will, I guess, be controversial and urge you to take it even further. Now that the vaccine has been fully FDA approved, every adult in the school district should be vaccinated, and we should all be wearing masks. That is to protect the children that cannot be vaccinated. Thank you.
Number 5? Please state your name and address.
Betsy O'Phelan, 64 Deepdale Drive.
Deepdale? Okay.
Yeah,
Right by me.
yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
Oh, really?
Where,
It wasn't unusual.
Google search.
where I used to live. I moved.
Yeah. I'm not usually a stalker. So I think you're safe. I mean, I want to echo what some of the other parents have said about having spent a long time in this district. My twins are going into 10th grade. And we've always been really happy and really proud to live in South Huntington. And I've always been really proud of the district because I feel like you've been a leader in a lot of ways in the way you treat students and the relationships with parents. And I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed today that you made the decision. I understand that our governor, our almost governor, has said that she's going to put in a mandate for masks. But I think that this is a missed opportunity for South Huntington to show some leadership, along with some of the other districts on Long Island that are considered leaders, like Syosset, Jericho, Manhasset, all of who have made mandatory masks part of their reopening plan. And South Huntington instead is kind of, I guess you're punting it to the governor. So I'm a little concerned about what happens if she does not act. I'm concerned about whether I can have faith that the school will mandate masks in order to protect the kids. My children are vaccinated, all their friends are vaccinated, but the little ones are not vaccinated. They're people who live with students who are medically fragile. And I just think this is a real missed opportunity. You said, I don't remember which person you were talking to, but you said that you were following recommendations, and that was how you built this plan. And one of the top recommendations from both CDC, from NICED, and from the Suffolk County Department of Health was that everyone in the building should be wearing masks. And so I just really, the beauty of your job is that you don't have to make decisions based on your feelings or my feelings or anybody's feelings in this room. You make them, I'm just gonna wreck the place while I'm here. You can make decisions based on science, based on facts, and based on expert recommendations. And so I would really like you to include masks as part of the reopening plan, regardless of what our governor does or doesn't do tomorrow. And that's all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Number 6?
Hi, I'm Nancy Heemstra, and I live at 12 Ludlam Street. So I also am the parent of 2 South Huntington students, one going into 8th grade and one going into 3rd grade. And I have always been so proud to be part of this district. I just love, I was, before COVID, I was very proud of it. I was always very proud of how the district has handled everything last year with COVID. And I really am proud of what you're doing with this plan here. I guess I would just like to echo the last person that I am a little disappointed that we aren't doing our own mask mandate. I don't want us to have to wait for the governor.
So if you can address the Board of Education?
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't want us to have to wait for the governor's mandate. I don't want me to have to worry that our policies will change if the governor changes anything. And I think I would like us with masks to continue to do what we've done in the past, which is trust the facts and the information and not misinformation and pseudoscience. And as the parent of an 8-year-old who cannot get vaccinated, if there is for some reason no mask mandate, I will immediately pull her from in-person classes. I know that a lot of people say, like, hey, younger kids, they barely feel it, they don't get sick. Well, some can get very sick. I had one of my daughter's friends, an 8-year-old, got COVID last January, barely got sick, a stomach ache, that was it. 2 months later, she had to have an emergency appendectomy. And studies are showing that things like acute appendicitis are connected to COVID for children. So that's just one example of the things that we're just learning about this virus and what we don't know. I think we're only going to learn more about long-term consequences. And so I just really urge you to add to this great plan a mask mandate for the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 7?
Good evening. I'm also the mother of an 8-year-old child in this district, and I want to thank all of you've done to try to make this safe for our kids to go back to school. I think that's what literally everybody here wants. We just want our kids to be safe. I actually had to pull my daughter out of school last year for various reasons and homeschool her, and I can tell you how unbelievably excited she is to go back to school, but more importantly, how unbelievably excited I am for her to go back to school. And for her to go back to school, I want every possible safeguard. And I know that someone's gonna get up here and say, look, kids, they're gonna pull their mask, they're gonna sneeze, they're gonna do this and that. It doesn't have to be perfect. This isn't about perfection, it's about risk mitigation. What can we do? How many layers can we put up between our children and a deadly virus? Thanks. To make it safer for them. And I do support the children wearing a mask, and I echo what some of my friends and colleagues and fellow parents here have said, and that I wish the board would have done it themselves. I do understand it will likely happen tomorrow, but if it doesn't, I urge the district to follow science. I urge the district to follow the CDC, which literally spends billions of dollars investigating infectious disease, scientists, doctors, the best minds in the world, and we should be following them and not what some crazy guy says on YouTube. We need to be safe. And I do wish you would re-implement the temperature checks and the barriers, because again, every little thing will help. It's about risk mitigation. How much can we put in between our kids and what could be deadly? And I just want to point out, it doesn't have to be deadly. I had COVID last March. I was one of the first people to get it that we know of. I couldn't be treated. I couldn't be tested. Yeah, I was in bed for a week. But you know what? I spent a year with long hauler syndrome. I had stomach aches, I had brain fog, the list goes on and on. It's not just about that 1 week they're sick, it's about the rest of their lives. You want your kid to get asthma, you want your kid to have GI problems, you want them to have brain fog forever? I don't want that for my kid. So I ask you, the board, to do everything you can to put 1, 2, 3, 1,000 barriers between our children and this deadly virus. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 9? 8?
Claudia Ferreira. I'm at 230 West 22nd Street. I addressed the board back in the last meeting, back in June. I will go with the wildly unpopular, for what it seems, that I absolutely don't want a mask mandate, and I applaud South Huntington for not taking that stance.
Please, no applauding either way.
I know that everybody keeps talking about science, and if you actually read some of the scientific studies, they did a study with 90,000 people in the state of Georgia, and what they've advertised is that unvaccinated adults wearing masks helped slow transmission and ventilation. What they omitted, and you can read it in the Washington Post and several other things, and just recently, this is recent news, is that what they omitted was that there was no significant decrease in transmission for children who were wearing masks, and there was no significant decrease in transmission for any of those plastic barriers, for any of these temperature checks, for anything else. So really, the science is that the masks aren't doing as much as people think for children. Children aren't little adults, they're children, and they have completely different needs. I think I mentioned last time, and I'll reiterate, the psychological and social effects that these children are facing are much worse than any of the physical effects that little kids are having. Statistically, kids are dying at a rate of 0. Vaccinated adults are dying at a rate of 0 or 0.05, so we have to move the decimal point so we can actually see it. So, no, I applaud the district for not doing it, but I would like, the step forward that I would like is that we give parents a choice. I'm all for, you want to put your kid in 10 masks, do it. You want your kid to have a plastic barrier, not play in the playground, eat lunch alone, let them. But I want my kid to be a kid. And I want them to have a normal life back, okay? They did a study, New York, Florida, Massachusetts. What was the difference in transmission? 0. No statistical difference in transmission for states that didn't have a mask mandate. I get it. Last year, last March, different things. We didn't know what was going on. A lot of people died, I think unnecessarily. They didn't know how to treat it. We're not there anymore. Adults can be vaccinated. If they feel that strongly that they want to do that, let them. They want to wear a mask, let them. Everybody should have a choice. My choice should not be any less important than some other parent's choice.
Thank you. Number 9.
David Ewan, 230 West 22nd Street. Claudia is my wife. Just had a couple of quick questions. So for the board, I would like you to comment on why you did not have a mask decision as part of the back to school plan. I know you mentioned that you're expecting something from the governor, but that's speculative, right? And I think, you know, we're all here today because we are expecting some level of a decision from the district and the board. So I would like to understand a little bit why we're coming into this meeting tonight without some sort of opinion from the board in the district.
I'm not sure it's speculative. The governor stated in no uncertain terms that she's holding a press conference tomorrow and announcing a decision. Most districts have deferred their decision until after that. I think it's the prudent thing to do. It's not like we're not going to make a decision. If for some reason the governor didn't make a decision, the board would need to convene another meeting to decide before school opens, and that would happen. But you know, I don't think it's necessary for us to make a decision on something. You know, and we talked about the governor. It's not really the governor's decision. It'll probably have to come from the Department of Health. So I want to hear what the Department of Health has to say of the state of New York. That's the entity that can mandate masks, and I want to hear their opinion first.
So then why not defer this meeting? I mean, we're all here with vested interests, right? And if you are expecting something to come out tomorrow, why not have the meeting later on in the week if that was going to be a key decision point? There are other districts like Massapequa who have made decisions at this point to not have a mask mandate, and they've done that in spite of the same news that we're all considering as part of today's discussion.
But for example, like Massapequa, if they made that decision and then a decision comes out for a mask mandate, Massapequa's decision is worthless at that point. So it didn't.
And perhaps you can enlighten all of us in terms of what are the legal requirements that are that we're all subject to, because I think, you know, a question for many folks who are kind of pro-choice in terms of wearing a mask and not wearing a mask, many of us are contemplating what's the penalty if our child is sent to school without wearing a mask, right?
Well,
a lot of this is guidance, right, that is being issued in many of the letters and publications that are coming out. It's not law, right? So it would be very helpful to understand what would be the penal consequence if the student was to come to school without a mask when it is just guidance and not law or
Right, well, that's a good point. The CDC is guidance, so we're waiting for the one entity that would be more than guidance, would be binding upon us. And if the Department of Health of the state of New York says there is a mask mandate, that would be binding on us. The boards of educations are creatures of the state. That means we're created pursuant to state law, or we could be eliminated pursuant to state law. So we have to follow whatever the state law is. If we didn't follow the state law, then we could be subject to the loss of state aid. In Florida, actually, they have a complete opposite situation. They have a mandate against masks, and the governor there is threatening to pull state aid and take away the salaries of any school board members who violate that. They don't have to, they can't threaten us with that. We don't make any money up here. So, but they could use different levers. They could, a board of education that doesn't follow the law. If you, in our last meeting, we swore in our new board offices and new board members, and we take an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of New York, the district's policies, and the Constitution of the United States. So we have to follow those laws. So that's why we're deferring the decision, because there's one entity who, each of these places that have mentioned, made recommendations, you're right, they are recommendations, and we're waiting for the one entity who could put a mandate in. If it doesn't happen, then the district will have to make its own decision. Regardless of whatever it is, whether it comes from a state mandate or a district policy, those are the rules that we have to live by, and the Board of Education and through its administration will enforce those requirements. And if there was a mandate and a student didn't follow the mask mandate, then there would be discipline.
So I just play back that last part. So you're saying if there wasn't a mask mandate, but there was one in the district, that there would be discipline?
Yes,
Okay, and what legal right does the district have for that?
the district has legal rights to protect its students. That's one of the inherent powers of a Board of Education, to act in situations of health emergencies. So we do have that legal authority.
And can you
But I'm,
direct all of
once
us-
again, I'm speculating. I'm not speculating. We're talking in hypotheticals because we haven't gotten to that decision.
Correct, but I think we're all anxious, right? Because in the event that there isn't a mandate from the state health department, we all would like to understand specifically where in the literature gives us the district that authority. And so if you can share that with the residents, it would be appreciated.
It's the state education law.
Okay, well then if you can share that with the district residents where we can find that information, it would be appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 10? 10? Okay.
As I stated before when I first got here, because News 12 is here, I'm giving you my first name and middle name. I'm not giving my address or my last name for my protection.
Okay, are you a district resident?
Yes, I am, and I can prove it with my ID. If you guys want to see it directly, I have no problem doing that, but I'm not announcing it with that camera here.
Okay. I mean, this meeting is being live streamed in any event besides the camera.
Exactly, and I wouldn't do it for that reason either.
Okay.
I want to protect my house and home as well. I do not have, my name is Captain Patrick, better known as Big Kev to most people. What I was going to say, I'm going to switch up a little bit, since the mask thing is prevalent right now, and that's the concentration. Of course, I'm not for it. I believe what happened to my body, my choice.
Please address the Board of Education.
Sorry,
We'll have
what happened to
clarity.
my body, my choice with abortions? What happened with that? What happened to the parents' right to, be parents to their kids? And as far as the last gentleman that just spoke, I'd like to piggyback off what he said. As far as a mandate's not a law. In order for a state law or a law to go through, there's got to be legislation to be passed.
No.
There was no mandate, there was no legislation that was passed last year to mandate that, or mandate's not an actual law. So to force these kids, and let me ask you a question about this past summer. These kids were at camp, they were indoors, they went to movies, they played, parties, weddings, personal events. I know that a lot of these parents and a lot of these kids did not wear masks. And you know what's stupid me? I should have took pictures of just around this district and around my neighborhood just to see who is hypocritical and who's not. Why put these kids through this emotional, mental, and intellectual distress? How can they learn with a mask suffocating them, breathing in their own carbon, messing up their own teeth, and their gums? That's an actual thing right now. Now, I'll leave the masks alone because there's something else that I wanted to touch on. It's been brought to my attention that there's a lady named, she's an activist and a lobbyist, named Elaine Gross. Some of you might know her because some of you met with her. She has nothing to do with the Board of Ed, but she has met with many school districts and administrative people within the districts of different townships on Long Island. Now, due to the foils that we got from Smithtown School District, there's evidence of that. And she met with people in this administration. She's pushing a thing called, she's about housing and inequities. I'm not sure if you're familiar about that.
I have no idea about it. I have no idea who that person is. I've never met with her. I don't know who she
I don't
is.
think it was you.
Okay. But I'm not aware of anybody meeting with her, but,
Well, there is evidence of that, and if you want that, we can get that for you as well.
well, please, yes, if you're making a statement.
And basically what they're trying to do is take a piece of the curriculum, and this is on a state level because she met with the state senate too.
Okay.
She spoke in front of the state senate, and she wants to,
Oh, that's your 3 minutes.
that's my 3 minutes. I'll be back next time.
Okay. You can always email the Board of Education as well. Number 11?
Hi, my name's Michelle Labella, and I had a
Address,
concern.
please?
It's 221 Fourth Avenue.
Okay.
Okay, now I had a concern. I want parents' rights to be in place for everything. I think it should be up to the parent. And when you guys had virtual learning, I liked to stay in place for certain students. We have elderly parents. We have a child that has a lot of GI history. And then to have my kids go to school would make me nervous. But I think every parent should have the right to do what they want. So if you have virtual, then for certain people, then the other parents can also have what they don't want, they want to send their kids to school, no mask, fine. Everybody should have a right to guide what their child does. And then you call the New York State Education Department, the 518 number, and you'll hear them say, you punch and they go, oh, right now we're short of staff. We cut them down, and we are doing remote calls. You have to email us because we are not here. We have cut our staff due to COVID pandemic. So isn't that hypocritical? Here's the state saying that they cut their staff and they're doing virtual, but you're telling us that's not even an option for our children. I think all options should be on the table. If you have the virtual hooked up, then if a parent's very uncomfortable, I think it should be an option for them to have it. And especially when you call the State Department and they are virtual. To me, it's unbelievable.
Can I
And
ask
that's-
one quick question?
Yeah.
Would you be open to an option that allows parents who don't want their children to wear masks to stay home and learn remotely?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That they stay home?
Yeah, if they want to do remote, it's, that's what I'm saying. I feel it
I
should be up
was
to the parent if they want their child to stay. I feel more relaxed and comfortable. I have parents in their 80s, their 90s. I have a son that had a ton of GI problems. I'd be a nervous wreck every day knowing that one of my other kids could bring something home to them. So I think there should be an option, even though it's not a severe illness like cancer, I still don't know what it'll do to him. So I think it should be an option left in place since it was there already for a year and a half. So that's all I had to say, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 12?
Okay, I have a lot of tissues here because it's a very emotional.
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Jackie. I don't want to give away my last name because my husband is in law enforcement, and that's a whole hot mess in itself. And
Are you a resident of South Huntington?
I am. My neighbors are here to prove it. I have a lot to say with, obviously, is there a timer?
3 minutes, yeah.
I know, but like, is there somewhere I can see it? No?
Ms. McLean has it, so
Okay.
it's starting,
Thank
so.
you. Okay, so I also have 3 children. My son will be starting 2nd grade at Countrywood, as well as my daughter starting kindergarten. My son missed half of kindergarten. That was a hot mess. 1st grade, he got quarantined a couple times. Behavioral issues came out to the point he's hitting himself, crying. So many different things that just broke my heart as a parent. His reading skills is a year and a half behind. Even though I have a private tutor, we read every night together. I just can't do enough as a parent. He needs this. He needs school. He has a very hard time socially getting along with other kids. And I think the masks and the space gives kids a difficulty connecting. And this is their prime years of socialization, And my daughter is starting kindergarten. I hope this 3 minutes doesn't end soon. She's starting kindergarten and is in speech. When she gets nervous and can't communicate because no one understands her properly, she shuts down. And I'm afraid she's going to become mute because of the mask, because no one can hear her as is. And if that happens, I will be devastated. Devastated. My kids are my world, and I respect everyone's opinions if they want masks, for physical reasons, family, I get it. I totally get it. But just like the board last year, do you want your children to come back from hybrid? 100%. My kids need this. They don't need, my son was like, Mommy, I don't want to wear a mask. And every day I write to someone in government. Here, I spoke to many people. I have to advocate for my children because if I don't, no one will. And every day I go, Mommy's trying her best. Mommy is trying her best. And I told him, he was like, please, Mommy, tell them I don't want to wear a mask anymore. And my kids actually had COVID Asymptomatic, I didn't know. My husband got it on the job, brought it home. My 11-month-old baby had it. I had it. We all were okay. No symptoms, no fever. I had brain fog. Really,
Thank you.
really quick.
No, yeah, I'm
Can
sorry.
antibodies count?
No.
Please,
it's-
please.
I've got to apply
Just
the
1
3
second.
minutes.
Can
No.
you check antibodies? If my
Can I
children
check
have
them?
antibodies,
No.
do they have to quarantine? That's all I want to know. If I have antibodies,
The quarantine, I don't know, Dr. D'Elia went over it before. If there is a mask mandate, the quarantine would be that the student that tests positive has to quarantine. Nobody else in the classroom would have to
well,
quarantine.
last year, they had to quarantine around them.
Right, the rules
Different.
were different last year.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, we have to move on to other people. I've got to treat everybody consistently with respect to the 3 minutes. You are welcome to email the Board of Education. We have a
Okay.
dedicated email address.
I just want the best for all our children.
I understand, and we understand that a lot of students are well behind from what this pandemic did. That's why Dr. Bernardo, sorry. Sorry.
Maybe
Old habits
one
die
meeting I
hard.
can make it through.
So I don't forget. Dr. D'Elia will be addressing at the next Board of Education meeting his recovery plan, and it's outstanding, and it's probably one of the preeminent plans on Long Island. We're well ahead of this, we recognize, and this is something that Dr. D'Elia brought to our attention.
When is the next meeting?
September 9th? September 9th.
Oh, my
yeah.
10-year anniversary, I'll be there. That'll be my date.
He will be addressing in detail the things that we're doing to recover, because we understand that, when I had asked the question last year, I said, who's falling behind? Can we identify it? And the answer was everybody. And so we're going to address.
Yeah, my son did the program at Countrywood this summer that was offered, and I really appreciate you guys doing that because many districts didn't, especially with the busing, because I'm a working mom, and my husband's, obviously working. I thank you for that.
You're welcome. Our pleasure.
Number 13?
So I really can't follow that up. I'm sorry. You did a great job, Jackie.
Name, please,
I'm sorry, Karen Besmer. I have a really quick question. It's a little bit based on what Dr. D'Elia had said, and I wanted a little bit more information. You were talking about the lunch plan and the tents and kids moving around, and I really wanted a little bit more understanding of how you're structuring that, who's in the tent, are they assigned seats, how are they moving around, what's the separation, how does that, I didn't really get enough information, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry too, that I didn't give you enough. Basically, what we're doing is trying to take one piece at a time. The principals were all working together with Dr. Senamore as far as, a rotation, so not, because the rules are different outside than they are inside, so we would want to have students to have that opportunity to eat outside. What really drove getting the large tents, when I walked into classrooms last year and seeing kids in those classrooms all day, we have to do something. That's something I strongly believe in. And that's why we decided to extend that footprint to make it outside. If we have to get heat lamps out there, that's something we're going to look at as well. I have kids as my, and I see exactly what they go through, and I hear them at night as well, as I hear all of you. And to me, it was very important to increase the size of the cafeteria, because then we could bring them to the cafeteria, go 6 feet apart, and then also use the outdoor tent to extend. So it's about, they'll be able to get up and move around, as they will in the cafeteria as well. And we just think it's exciting for them to get back to the cafeteria, especially those kindergarten and first graders who haven't had a traditional year yet, going into second grade.
Okay, so the temperature regulation is something you'll be monitoring as well, making sure it's not too cold, obviously.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, we're not going to let them freeze outside, that I can tell you. Heat lamps or no heat lamps, but we definitely want kids to be kids too. We want them safe, and this was one thing that was very, very important to myself and the rest of the cabinet here, and I believe that the board as well supports this 100%.
I know typically lunch is like a time where the kids get to socialize, so how is that, you mentioned, I think you were saying 6 feet apart when they're eating, is that what I heard you say? So how does that, where do we promote the interaction?
Well, we want to get that rotation going as well outside, because they could be closer outside. So
Gotcha.
obviously the masks are down, and they're going to be able to communicate, and yes, but being stuck inside a classroom that you're in all day, and great teaching's going on, great learning's going on, absolutely, but I try to think of that and put myself in a student's shoes and say, or sneakers, and basically say, you know, I have to be in this seat for the entire day. We've come a long way, and, you know, we're still working on the exact specifics of the plan, but we want it to be equitable for all students.
Is that
in
every building you're doing it
K to
in?
12.
Okay.
Tents are there, and if we need more tents, we'll get more tents, as long as the provider has them, because I have a feeling more districts are going to act upon this. We were lucky to secure these tents when we did. This was a decision made in July, not last week, so.
Okay, thank you. And for what it's worth, I appreciate that the plexiglass things are down. They were extremely difficult to maneuver, so thank you.
Thank you. Number 14. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having us here, and as everyone has shared, particularly the more emotional ones, I hear you and felt the emotion there. My name's Raj. I live on Grayley Place, right across Jericho. We're relatively new.
Welcome.
Thanks. Well, we were here, and then we moved away, and we came back, so it's a little bit of both of that. And we have 4 children in all of the different schools. So we have one who's going into 1st grade, one who's going into 4th grade, one who's going into 8th, and one who's going into 10th. So we have 2 children who started very important parts of their lives under COVID. A kindergartner started last year under COVID, and a 9th grader started last year under COVID. And those were difficult times for them, for us. And we managed. Having 4 children has its advantages because they have each other. But we obviously recognize the need for this kind of social interaction with other people. I'm a professor at St. John's. This last academic year, I was able to and elected to teach in person and in hybrid format, as most of my colleagues weren't able to. I was able to. My mother, who's elderly, lives in our home with us. So we're navigating a whole bunch, and I know many people are navigating similar kinds of things. And so I guess what I wanted to share was the experience in teaching in person to a different set of students, but not very different. Many were first-year students, so they were 3 months removed from high school. It was a hard year. There were students who were just struggling, as you all know. And it was hard. I taught with a mask, and all the students were in the room with a mask. And it was hard. But we did it. We did it. There were students sitting 5 feet away from me who tested positive for COVID, found out later that day. I went and got a rapid test. It came back negative. The dean of the college, who was also a chemist, said, it's because masks are working. You didn't get infected because the person who got infected in the dorm life had to quarantine. You had a mask, they had a mask, and you were 6 feet apart. So I say that from experience. I say that I didn't know if I could go home that night. I didn't know what I was going to bring home. At that point, no one was vaccinated. I didn't know what I was going to bring home to my mom, to my kids, to my wife. I didn't know. And so knowing that those things worked in that specific case, students were separated enough from each other, we all had masks pre-vaccination, and those were mitigating measures. The phrase that a person brought up earlier, risk mitigation, is the thing that I think makes the most sense. Again, it sounds very much like what you're doing is deferring to when the Governor Hochul is going to make her announcement tomorrow. I understand that. I will echo that I'm slightly disappointed that this isn't being done sort of proactively, though I can understand the reasoning. But I would sort of echo the pleas that keeping these kinds of measures in place are as difficult as they are, and having experienced how difficult they are, I understand. As important as socialization is, I can't wait for the moment when we don't have to do any of these things in order to protect public health. I want that openness as soon as possible. But the possible I'm looking at, the possible I'm thinking through is as soon as it's safe and healthy enough for all of my kids, 2 who are unvaccinated and 2 who are, to be able to be coming home safely. Thanks.
Thank you. 15? That's it? Okay. All right, so that deals with all of our comments. Any other thoughts on the board, from the board? Okay. We will move into our Board of Education portion of our meeting. Thank you all for your comments. Please feel free to stay and observe the meeting. Okay, with that, I will take a motion to adopt the agenda. Ms. Nikowitz, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All in favor of the agenda? Any opposed? All right. Items C through F require one resolution for adoption. These are our minutes from July 7th, 14th, and the 18th, financial items and schedules of bills. Is there a motion? Mr. Nickwood, seconded by Ms. Carey. Any questions on items C through F? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, items C through F are approved. Moving on to item G, change orders. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. And this is for change orders at the Stimson Middle School parking lot expansion, which is now mostly complete. Dr. Centimore, can you give us some information on these?
Yes, and these changes have been vetted through the Facilities Committee. They address the survey, soil removal, and the installation of a fence with regards to the newly created parking lot at Stimson Middle School.
Okay, great. Any questions on the change orders? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving into new business. We have new business. Item number 1 is a secret determination. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Carey. All right, this is for a secret determination. It's for a type 2 action, so no further secret review for our Silas Wood maker space. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on to new business, item number 2 is another secret determination. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Nickwood and Ms. Carey. This is a secret determination for unit ventilator replacement at Stimson Middle School. Are there any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? New business item number 3 is a secret determination as well for unit ventilators at Walt Whitman High School and Silaswood. Is there a motion? Ms. Carey, seconded by Ms. LaCara. And these unit ventilators are very important and also very expensive. We're replacing them, trying to move them throughout the district and upgrade them because they provide fresh air and clean air for our students. But there are many of these. There's one in each classroom, so we're moving forward with replacing them. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? New business item number 4 is a confidential personnel resolution. Is there a motion? Mr. Nickwood, seconded by Ms. Carey. This is an item that was discussed in executive session. It is regarding stipends for assistant superintendents for extra tasks that they're taking on. Are there any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to new business item number 5 is a lease agreement with the Tri-CYA. Is there a motion? Motion, Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All right, so this is the approval of a 5-year lease with the Tri-CYA, a great community organization that was previously housed in the teen center across from the high school. Since we're selling that, we are relocating them into 2 rooms in Stimson Middle School and 2 rooms in Walt Whitman High School. Dr. Centimore, anything else to add on that?
No, we have an outstanding relationship with them. They provide wonderful services to our students, and this has enabled us to maintain that long-term relationship.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. That at least brings some extra revenue for the school district. Moving on to item number 6 is various consultant agreements. Motion. Ms. Bronson, and seconded by Ms. Meyer. These are for our Public Relations Department. It's 3 individual consultant agreements for the 2021-2022 school year. Are there any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. New business item number 7, destruction of ballots. Is there a motion? Ms. Carey, seconded by Ms. LaCara. All right, so this is under the education law. It allows us to destroy ballots after a certain amount of time, and these ballots were from the 2020 annual budget vote and election, and now that enough time has passed, the Board of Education has a resolution to destroy all of the ballots cast and spoiled in that election. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, new business number 8 is a data security and privacy standards agreement. Is there a motion? What's going on here? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. Dr. Centimore.
Sure. With Ed Law 2D, It requires that the district properly vet vendors to ensure that privacy, personal identifiable information is protected. And this is a process that has been vetted through our legal counsel and our IT and curriculum department.
Okay. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? New business number 9, resolution for the approval of an audit committee member. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. And this is for the appointment of a new audit committee member. Our previous audit committee member had elected to the Board of Education. Mr. Nikowitz, have you had an opportunity to speak with this person?
I have. Mr. Caldwell and I have spoken, and I'm confident that he'll be a great addition to our audit committee. And we look forward to having him approved by the board so that he can join us on Wednesday at our next board meeting.
And Mr. Caldwell currently serves as the president of the Booster Club, and he would be joining the audit committee as a committee member. We have, in addition to Board of Education members, we're required by law to have various residents as well. All in favor?
I'd like to.
Yes.
No, I'm on the audit committee, and I was not aware, I was not part of the discussion, so I would like to table this.
Okay.
Mr. Nikowitz.
My humblest of
Yeah,
apologies,
I-
Andrew.
yeah.
That's been a byproduct of the summer.
Right.
And not actually knowing whether or not you had a separate line of communication with the, so yeah, by all means.
Yeah.
And I'm confident that even tabling it will meet with your approval. For those of you who are in the audience, Mr. Bronson and I are on the audit committee together. He's the brains of the committee, and he's the looks of the committee. So I wanted to meet your approval.
Okay, yeah. I just want to talk, that's all. Yeah.
Is there a motion? Oh, sorry. Motion to table? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Meyer. All in favor?
All in favor.
Any opposed? Okay.
Can I make a suggestion that we have him join us anyway on Wednesday so that we can meet then together?
Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew.
Okay. Item number 9 was tabled. Moving on to item number 10, amendment of a contract of sale. Is there a motion? Ms. Carey, seconded by Ms. LaCara. This is for a third amendment to our contract for sale at 310 West Hills Road. Dr. Centimore?
Yes, as we move towards establishing a closing date, the amendment will address indemnification, the timeline for relocation of the Morton building, which is currently on the site. It also addresses that the buyer no longer requires, to obtain a mortgage. So these are some of the updates within this third amendment.
And when are we expected to close on this?
We're expected to close sometime between October 1 and November 1.
Any questions on this? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 11, approval of district-wide emergency response plan. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. Dr. Senmore?
Yes, this plan was just recently updated, the district-wide plan in the spring, through some changes such as a focus on mental health. So there were very recent updates made. We're required to get approval of the district-wide plan, and as you will subsequently see with number 12, the building-wide plans, and the district-wide plans speak to prevention, intervention, responsibilities, response, communication, reporting, and then the building-wide plans kind of drill down into actual procedures and actual contacts. The district-wide plan is available for the public, while the building plans, which you'll approve next, are more of the confidential nature for safety purposes.
Okay, great. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, moving on to item number 12, which you gave us a preview on. Is there a motion for the building level emergency response plan? Ms. LaCara, seconded by Mr. Bronson and Ms. Meyer. All right, I think you explained that well. So all in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Moving on to new business item number 13 is the approval of a district comprehensive improvement plan for the 2021-2022 school year and a school comprehensive education plan for the 2021-2022 school year for Countrywood. Motion. Mr. Nikowitz, seconded by Ms. Carey. Dr. Murphy.
Yes, this is a plan we have to have a district-wide plan for Countrywood scores. They were identified in third grade for math and English being low proficiency. So this is a plan that's done at the building level and what services and how we're addressing those services at the building level, but also how the district's supporting those needs for those students and all students to make sure that all subgroups attain or are proficient in the benchmarks that they're supposed to meet.
Great. Questions for Dr. Murphy? All in favor? Any opposed? Moving on to new business item number 14 is the appointment of special counsel. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Mr. Nikowitz. This was a matter that was discussed in executive session regarding potential litigation. To summarize, the district has the law firm of Ingerman Smith on retainer, but this matter is more of a complex matter in that it's a toxic tort, and we are recommending the hiring of special counsel, Louis Brisbos, who has an expertise in this particular area. Board have any questions? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 15 is the approval of a SHTA mini grant recommendation. Is there a motion? Mr. Bronson, seconded by Ms. Kerry. Dr. Murphy, you want to talk about this?
Yes, the SHTA mini grant is run through the personnel office. It's where teachers are able to apply for funding for certain projects within their buildings or their curriculum areas. They were provided to 2 in Countrywood and 1 in Walt Whitman, all for various. The Countrywood one was for an outdoor classroom to make, which is actually great for COVID and for COVID protocols, as well as some technology in the physical education classroom. I believe it's a screen or an ability to show things within the phys ed classroom. And then you have designing bridges and towers, which works with our physics and robotics program with Amy Bouchard, who's pivotal in that program at the high school.
Great. So is for the technology grant, is that a regular television screen or?
I'm not 100% positive. I believe it's not a television screen. I believe it's a projector to be able to roll out that they can use within the phys ed department.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Murphy on the mini grants? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. New business item number 16 is the recommendations of the placements of students by the committees on special education and preschool education, special education, many dates listed throughout the year. Motion. Mr. Nikowitz, second. Mr. Bronson. Any questions on item 16? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Item 11 are the personnel schedules. Schedules 5, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, and 22. And these are the schedules. They're fairly large this time because there's a lot of summer hiring and all of our recent hires that are on here as well. Is there a motion? Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Bronson. Any questions from the board? All in favor? Any opposed? Information and reports are listed. Committee reports, the audit committee met on August 25th, 2021. Mr. Nikowitz, any update on that?
No, we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's for August 25th. Sorry, we haven't got there yet.
I was going to press you and say, the meeting went well.
That would be very impressive, right?
What we talked about was.
Future meetings are listed, so these are our regular Board of Education meetings. Generally, throughout the year, we meet 2 times per month. September 9th is our first official meeting of the year, and then September 22nd. Most meetings are at the James Caden Building unless otherwise noted. Comments by board members? Ms. Meyer.
Yeah, I would just like to say to everyone that took the opportunity to speak during the discussion this evening, regardless of everyone's individual personal opinion, I just want to commend you on your courage and passion to do so prior to becoming a board member. I spent many years in the audience at board meetings and often took advantage of the opportunity of voice of the resident. And I believe that this open, honest, and respectful discourse is one of the things that makes our district so unique and so wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'd like to echo that. It was very important. You see, some of these meetings throughout the country on social media that kind of descend into chaos, and it's very important to be able to discuss very difficult, complex, and divisive issues in such a thoughtful and respectful manner. So I appreciate that as well. The board members' comments. Okay, voice of the resident? With that, we will take a motion to adjourn. Ms. Meyer, seconded by Mr. Bronson. All in favor of adjourning? Any opposed? Thank you all.